All right, welcome to The Boost, conversations with people promoting mental health. And I am so stoked to be here. You'll probably notice you don't see my bookshelves behind me that are in my home office. We have absolutely leveled up this studio and excited to bring you this new episode in 2025. So, my guest is Chelsea Mitchell. She's a fifth-year senior at Belmont University, athlete, incredible human being. We're going to get to talk with her today and excited to do it all in this new studio. So, Chelsea, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm obviously really geeked to be here. So,
Yeah.
as nice as my web camera was at home, this is, I think, a little bit better. We'll share some pictures so everybody can see the studio and everything that's going on. But we will start the same way we always start the Boost, which is the virtual hug and the shameless plug. So for new listeners, the virtual hug is a moment of gratitude. So Chelsea, tell us somebody or something you're thankful for today.
Yeah, I'd say I'm super thankful for just all my friends and family over the past couple months. You know, being a fifth year senior definitely has been, stressful to say the very least. And they've all been there for me and have been helping me navigate this time. So I'm just thankful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you mean navigating this time? What is this time? What are you navigating?
Just navigating, the stressors of like life post grad, that's coming up. And last year as a student athlete and in college. And so just kind of getting ready and prepared for that, graduation timeline coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's one reason I'm so excited to talk with you is because we haven't really talked with the college athlete or even the college student. We talk with a lot of business people and marketers, and I believe the mental health conversation touches all of us. So it's very cool that you came on the show. Thanks for doing that. So let's get into the shameless plug, which is just tell us who you are, what you're doing, and then we'll use that as context just for the rest of the conversation.
Yeah. So kind of how you introduced me, I'm a fifth year college student at Belmont University. I'm a student athlete. I'm studying journalism. And kind of what I'm focused on right now is just I only have one class left to take in the spring. So I'm going to be kind of focusing my time and energy into work and then also being an athlete.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what do you do for sports?
I run track.
Okay. What events?
Okay. So I'm a long jumper is my primary event. But I also do short sprints. But yeah, I love long jumping. That's like my favorite event.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we'll get into it. So, and there's a lot to talk about there. We'll cover in a later segment. But for now, tell me about just the term mental health as it relates to you or your family or your relationships. Kind of when you hear that word, it has a lot of different meanings for a lot of different people. It can encompass mental health. It can encompass mental illness. But what has it meant for you and for yourself and your relationships over the years?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think my generation specifically, I feel like we've been a lot more open to talking about mental health, especially with friends and family. And I think for me, especially like going throughout my like college career, like mental health has definitely kind of become more important to me to kind of recognize and see how it affects myself and my relationships. My college experience has definitely been different than what I imagined it to be. You know, I came into college during COVID. And then I transferred after my sophomore year. I was injured my junior year. So it's kind of been all over the place. And after a specifically tumultuous breakup, I started therapy about like a year and a half ago. And that's been super helpful for me. And I know a lot of my friends that are in therapy and just, I think it's really positively impacted my relationships with my close friendships and my family, being able to kind of navigate my mental health and how it affects like my real life.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of that because it's powerful. Therapy is definitely not a silver bullet solution for everybody, but for me too, going to a licensed professional counselor was transformative. I don't know why you're saying we're in different generations. No, that's very, very true. I went to college a while ago and it's true. And we didn't have this conversation really actively going, like 2 decades ago. So for you feel like this is an open conversation around mental health and your friends are in therapy. You're comfortable talking about therapy for yourself and you use it as a way to overcome adverse situations.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think all of my friends and all my family too have been so supportive of like therapy, and all my friends talk about how helpful it is for them specifically. And I think it's so much easier for I guess for our generation at least, to talk about these things. You know, like it's an open conversation with my friends, and I never feel like, you know, uncomfortable talking about it. So I'm really grateful for that, because I know that like past generations haven't felt comfortable opening up like that. And I think it's a good movement that we've, you know, kind of created in allowing people to talk about it.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Now you mentioned COVID, and let's talk about COVID as a college kid. What was that like?
Yeah, so I was a senior in high school when COVID hit, like in 2020. And so I went into college my freshman year during that whole like COVID time, and that was really hard just as like a student like acclimating to college. But in COVID, it was really hard. It was like we all had to wear masks, and like our orientation was like very like it was online, it was virtual. We weren't really allowed to like go meet other people. So that was really hard. And then like on the athletic side of that, like we had to wear like masks during practice, and we were separated from most of our team. We couldn't practice with the whole team. We had to practice like in pods. So it was only like us freshmen together. So it was very like isolating. It was a very isolating time, especially just trying to like, college is already hard to begin with, but then having to like start it in that was really difficult. And it got better like in 2021, like when the vaccine and stuff came out, like it started to get more normal, but definitely it was a hard transition like during that time.
Yeah, it's a lot of transition. It's a lot of change management, which for humans, change is not always comfortable. We can't do it all at once as much as we'd want to. So you're coming into college. You've moved states? No?
Yeah, I moved to Virginia, which was like 10 hours from home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And you're practicing in these odd pods with just other freshmen, distancing yourself, which is not the way athletics are normally run. You know, it's a group setting. And then you also had an injury.
Yeah. So I got injured my junior year of college. And so I was at my first school for 2 years, and then I transferred here to Belmont. And then I tore my Achilles like a month into training, which, you know, for people that don't know, I didn't really know much about like Achilles injuries. But then like my trainer came over, he had torn his Achilles. He like took one look at my leg and was like, oh yeah, like you're done. And I quickly found out that was like at least a 6-month recovery, but it took me about 10 months to get back to sprinting. So it was a huge injury, and that was also a tough transition, just like coming from transferring. I mean, it was better because it wasn't COVID, but obviously I was transferring in as like a junior. So I was transferring into a class that had already known each other for 2 years. And then like also getting injured, I couldn't practice with the team anymore. And so that was also kind of a hard experience. But I'm definitely proud in how I handled that, because I definitely had a super positive outlook on it while it was happening. But looking back, I definitely was like, wow, that was a lot. And like, I'm impressed that I was able to like get through it with such a good mindset.
That's amazing. And in case people don't know, you were blazing fast. Like you're a very fast runner and athlete. So walk us through there's something almost like a grief process that may need to happen, where maybe you're bargaining with how long this injury is going to take. Maybe you go into some funk or sadness or something. Did you just keep the positive mindset the whole way? And how did you do that? Or was there a transition where you had to work through some feelings?
Yeah, I think for every athlete who like gets injured, because I've gotten injured in the past before, but just like minor tweaks, or, you know, a couple weeks, maybe you just need a rest. But so I think whenever like an injury happens, like the first thing we think of is like, oh, when am I going to be back? Like, when can I start training again? And they kind of immediately told me, yeah, like 6 months. And so in my head, like, I kind of like I got injured in October, so it's like 6 months from now is April, and I was like, I can't, like, I'm not gonna compete. Like, there's no way that I would make it back for like a May meet. So I kind of immediately like knew that it was like I was done. And I think that helped a little bit because instead of like trying to get back in time for like an event, you know, for the meets or whatever, like I could actually focus on my recovery itself. And so I think that was super helpful. And I think to like, just know, I, you know, had just transferred schools. And while it was hard to like go through that transition while being injured, I was also just super grateful to be there and to like be on the new team and like to be meeting new people. And so I think that helped in a way too. And I just tried to like be as positive as I could because I knew that like there, like otherwise like I was gonna get, you know, down in the dumps. But it definitely, I think being injured and being away from the sport for like a whole year, I think that definitely impacted my mental health. Just like, you know, like a lot of athletes, like that's like their outlet. And so I think for me, like it was hard to not have that, especially because like the first couple months of the injury, I couldn't walk or I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive, I couldn't do any athletic activity for like at least 3 months. So I was like very like out of it for a while.
Wow. So you're a resilient, gritty person to lose something that meaningful to you. I mean, I can relate as somewhat of an athlete. I played water polo, I swam, difficult sports, you know, endurance sports. I never really had like a long injury that would take me out. And even to this day, like I'll get to 2:00 in my day, and if I'm not active, like if I don't go to the gym or something, I'm a different person.
Right.
And then it resets me. So to lose the thing that you've committed so much time to, do you have a particularly gritty personality, or do people say that about you? Like, what do they say about you?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think I surprised myself a little bit there because I think if anything, people would have expected me to have a negative outlook on it. But I think I was just so positive. Like there was nothing else I could do but just remain positive during it. But I do think I think track, you in the sport of track, like you specifically have to be like pretty resilient because it's a pretty mental sport as it is. And you're like putting all this time and training into like just becoming like a little bit faster or like jumping a little bit farther. Like sometimes the results are so minuscule, but like that's what we put so much time into. So I think that just comes with being like an athlete in the sport. But yeah, I like definitely surprised myself there.
Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a bunch I want to get into there.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more from Chelsea Mitchell.
This episode is brought to you in part by The Hype, an e-newsletter that delivers the latest in industry news, MHM updates, upcoming events, valuable resources, and more, straight to the readers' inboxes every other Tuesday. To subscribe to MHM's The Hype, visit mhmmarketing.org.
All right, and we're back with more from Chelsea Mitchell. Hope you're enjoying this segment so far. We were talking in the break, and we're going to talk about coaching. We're going to talk about athletic performance. I think we both have stories to tell. And before we do that, let's get to the boost. So this is a new segment of the episode, which is called the boost. And we decided to do something different in 2025, which is aptly named the boost. So the boost is, tell us what you do for your own mental health. It can be serious, it can be lighthearted, it can be one little thing, or it can be a whole discipline. But when you think about caring for your own mental health, what do you do?
Yeah, I feel like I have a couple things. I think one of the biggest things that's helpful for me is like talking to my close friends and family. Just because I feel like they know me so well that like whatever I'm dealing with, they can help me kind of navigate whatever I'm feeling and like remind me that like they know who I am and like, you know, they can see the situation and help me with it. So I think that's one thing that really helps me. I also like something small. I love to like read. Like I think reading or like, you know, watching a TV show, whatever you're into, I think that really helps like me escape like into another world for a little bit, especially if I'm like dealing with something. I think that's like an awesome way. I also really recommend just like sitting with your feelings sometimes, especially if you're just feeling down in the dumps. Like I kind of just sit with that and allow myself to feel that. And I think that after a while that makes me feel better.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you like to read?
I love fiction, like fantasy books. I also like mystery, like suspenseful books, but I love fantasy. I think those are my favorite genre. I would recommend like Sarah J. Maas, Jennifer L. Armentrout. Really good books.
That's a selfish aside. I love reading. I love books. I love physical books. Do you do
Yes.
physical books?
Yeah, physical
Okay.
books. I have so many books.
Yeah, they're the
Yeah.
best. There's this guy, Adam Grant, and I just saw like a tweet or a post from him the other day that said they've done a bunch of studies, and we actually retain information better in an actual like physical book compared to like an e-reader or just hearing it.
Oh yeah.
And maybe even actually better if you listen to it and read it at the same time. But I don't know. I just love a full bookshelf and like a rainy day picking something out and just wasting some hours, which is never a waste. I'm always in that other world. You know, it's incredible how you can transform into a totally different world and space.
Well, and the lessons in books, I feel like I like self-help books too, but like the lessons in fiction books obviously translate to real life too. And like you can read about this character going through whatever they're going through, and it's like it translates to you too, you know? I love that too.
I think fiction is where the truth is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
because
too.
that's where the stories are. In a nonfiction book, you can, and there's also truth in nonfiction book. There's a lot of information and great stuff. But in a nonfiction book, you don't really have to rely on the story. You can just say, here's information. Whereas in a fiction story, if you're going to get somebody past the first couple pages, there's got to be a hook. It's got to be enticing, which is typically some kind of hero's journey, some kind of story of the protagonist going out into the world, facing challenges, and that is universally, I think, adaptable to our experience.
No, I agree. Like you watch them develop through something, whereas like nonfiction can be kind of just more straightforward. And I think fiction is the best for like any mental health like issue.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into something we were talking about earlier off camera, which is coaching. So, sports are physical things, but they're basically mostly mental when you get down to it, especially at a high level, when you are carving out microseconds of improvement, and that improvement might take you weeks or months to accomplish, or you even plateau where you don't see improvement. So at the high level you are competing in, talk about some coaches or some lessons you learned along the way for mental strength and mental health that helped you with your own performance.
Yeah, I think I've loved all of my coaches. Like my high school coach was amazing. So was, my old college coach and I love my current college coach as well. Like they've all just been so amazing. But I think what's been really instrumental in their coaching with me is just giving us athletes like a space to be not just an athlete, but also like a person. Because, I know with a lot of, I don't want to generalize this to like other Division I programs, but I do feel like, sometimes college athletics can be a business, and athletes can be treated as a business rather than like a person. And I think like, especially like transferring, going through the transfer process and whatever, like being able to come to a school and just be treated as like, there's so much more to the athlete than just like the performance, and being able to kind of like tune into that, I think is really like special and important. And I just think like how instrumental like my coaches have been on my life, because obviously like track has been such a huge part of my life and like my development as like a person. But I just think like I could not, have done any of that without like these coaches to be there and to like coach me and help me. Especially when because in high school, I feel like too, like I didn't really know what I was like doing. And so I think coming to college and having someone to be there to like actually direct me in my events has been so helpful. And to like I said, like I went through such a major injury, and to have like someone be there and like still like I feel like my college coach here at Belmont, like I went through such a big injury, but he still like believed in me. He still like allowed me to come back for a fifth year, because fifth years aren't guaranteed. You have to like ask and be invited back. And so for him to like take that chance on me when I was injured, like majorly injured, and we had no idea how I was going to perform, like that's like such an important like relationship and connection.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about engaging a coach in 2025, a business coach. But for me, coaches have been super transformative in my life, whether it was music or sports. I had a coach, Greg Roberts, that if I could look up right now, I would totally call and just say thank you, because he dedicated his life to, we were playing water polo and swimming at the time, and he was a tremendous athlete who suffered an injury that basically knocked his left arm out of commission and probably cut his career short. Like, I don't know what he would have done, but he was playing at the best schools at the top level. So you could have maybe seen him in the Olympics or something. And here he was with all of that experience and overcoming the challenges that he came through. And then he poured that into our lives as kids, you know, which was amazing. So for me to have him walk into my life when I was 14 years old, I had just moved from Northern California to Southern California. It was a totally different world for me. I was out of sorts, and to get involved in this sport, I was lost a little bit. I didn't have my people, you know. And to your point about your friends and your family being your support group and really people that you can talk to, there's nothing more valuable than that. It doesn't have to be a licensed professional trained counselor or therapist necessarily. Most of the magic is the affinity that you and the person have to just look each other in the eye and say, I see you, you can be you, I will listen, and I will support you along the way. Like, that's so much of the magic. And then the coach, when they're doing a great job, like it sounds like yours have been and are, is they pour into you additional insights and wisdom that you can take and improve, yes, your athletic performance, but get through hard times and be a better human, really, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, I feel like they have poured so much into like us as athletes. And like I said, to just like, especially as a collegiate athlete, like I feel like sometimes we're like I said before, like we're working like 4 years for this like one goal, you know? So for them to like pour all of that into us over such a long period of time, not just as an athlete, but also as a human as well. Like they also, I think it's so like instrumental for them too, to like watch us grow as humans and to be there for us in that too. And so I think, you know, like I think coaches are so selfless and so, you know, they do such amazing work. And so I love my coaches.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I can see it in your face.
Yeah.
So let's talk business, because you're fifth year.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to be a 6th year mega senior. You're probably moving on from Belmont.
Yeah.
What's next for you, or what do you want to have next for you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still kind of working that out. I'm only taking one class in the spring, so that's kind of my next goal, is to kind of work out what I'm doing next. I got my degree. I'm getting my degree in journalism, so I'm hoping to work like in entertainment, the music or industry, TV. That's kind of where I've been focusing my search, but I'm also just open to doing anything. I've done a couple internships, like desk jobs in the past, and I'm not sure that's like my passion. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's next. I'm still kind of figuring it out though.
Yeah, figuring it out.
Yeah.
You got time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just coming out of it. What's your last class?
It's called feature storytelling. It's a journalism requirement class. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So you've studied the power of storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's evident today. What, as we wrap, thank you for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
For sure. What is a piece of content? It could be a book. It could be your favorite short story. It could be something on your Spotify list. It could be a podcast. What's a piece of content that you are enjoying lately and you might recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I love music. I will always shout out my girl, Tate McRae. She is my favorite artist. I love her. She has a new album coming out in February, though, so it's kind of a while away.
She announced that really early.
Did you see that?
Yeah, the tease on that is like months and months in advance,
I know.
which I don't know if I've seen a musician do it. This is definitely her moment. You know,
It is her moment,
Like
yeah.
Taylor Swift is a little bit sunsetting. You know, Eras it blew up,
it's
incredible,
done.
but it's
Yeah.
you know, it's like kind of what's next, and we've got, Ariana's had her moment,
Yes,
Sabrina's
love
had her
Ariana
moment.
and Sabrina.
Sabrina owned the year with Espresso.
Yeah.
but Tay's next is next. So, but it's like a long wait.
Yeah, and
You didn't know I was going to have expertise in this topic.
No, I had no idea. But her last album, she like her second she had the same setup. It was like Greedy came out in September, X's came out in November, and then her album came out in December. So I was expecting the album to come out like now.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
no, same thing. Like It's Okay, I'm Okay, September, Two Hands, November, albums in February.
I wonder if she's avoiding like the election or something like that. There had to have been some decision because it's
I
very,
have no
it's a little bit off, you know,
I
like,
see what you mean.
like there's so many ads being served in November that a lot of companies avoid or they kind of reduce their spend on ads because politicians can just pour money into the market. So maybe she was worried about that. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I guess it is a tight turnaround, like December, like November to December, but I've accepted that we have to wait a little bit. I didn't know. Do you like taking my credit?
Yeah. Oh,
okay,
yeah. I like
yes.
everybody I mentioned. But yeah, I have this funny, it's like not how you would peg me for music. And I have a ton of range. Like I love Harry Connick Jr. and Diana Krall in jazz, or Louis Armstrong and Fitzgerald and all of that. But then I can go very like Odessa and Fantagram and electronic kind of emo
That's a
stuff.
range.
And then I can go indie like very easily. So I think I actually love it all. But yeah, I can definitely go pop, especially when I'm exercising. I will put on an Ariana Grande like on rotation. It's the right beat structure. So I've started to like when I do my cardio, I will find the beat of the song.
Runs the beat.
And it's always in that 68 to 72 range, which is just the perfect range for the cadence for me, which, you know, keeps me elevated but not sprinting, you know, working but not sprinting. So I've just found that typically works. And I think it's like her cadence. So, yeah.
No, I love Ariana Grande and Sabrina Carpenter too. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
That's perfect.
That's the perfect way to end.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you
and
for
good
having
luck with
me.
everything that's next.
Thank you.